Hey guys, this is your daily tarot card reading from Born Without Boundaries Tarot. It is for anyone who's called to listen to it or wants to participate in the live chat. Welcome, guys. You do have to be a subscriber to the channel to participate in the chat, but you certainly don't have to be a subscriber to leave comments below or enjoy the reading. And you don't have to join the live chat to enjoy the reading because it'll stand up on its own. So thank you guys for all those of you who watch it afterward too. This is for all zodiac signs. This is advice for the day. So I'm going to pull from astrology. We're going to go over the astrology today. But I'm also going to do an intuitive tarot and oracle card reading for you guys to enjoy. I have a YouTube channel called Born Without Boundaries Tarot. That is my premier channel, so maybe you recognize me from there. I do the live readings over here because honestly, I broadcast too much over there already. I upload 24 videos a week over there. 12 of them are gated for members only. So there's a lot going on that channel. I just don't have any more room over there. So I made another channel to do other stuff and give me room for more content. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Hey guys, hello. Oh, thank you so much, guys, for showing up. I really appreciate it. You make it worthwhile. How you guys doing? How you guys doing? New here? Oh, well, welcome, Heather. It's nice to have you. Hi, Mr. Floss. It's nice to have you. I'd see some old faces and who I love, and I'm so happy that new people are coming too. So it's really nice to see you guys. It's really nice to see you. All good in the UK. Nice to know that. I'm glad. I love the UK. Well, I really haven't been to other places except for England, but I loved England. So I hope to get to Ireland and Scotland soon. Hi, Veronica. I'm so glad you guys could join me. Let's start with the astrology. So we have June. Today's Thursday. Whoa. Yes. So Aries, Taurus, Gemini, you're all out right now. Your readings are up. And I noticed that my views go down at the end of the month, where especially the larger channels who release monthly videos or monthly readings, when they put their readings out, my views go down. It's like, guys, you can watch them both. You know what I'm saying? like just saying. And I hope you will. Let's do this. Let's do it's June 2nd, 2022. Lots of twos out there. It's a nice number. It means we're headed in the right direction. We do still have Mercury retrograde, not for much longer. It's like 2 more days and it's done. Still trying to Pluto. I feel like we're still trying to figure things out in our own mind. And the only way to do that is to go slow and have faith in the slower tempo. We have the square to Mercury from the square between Mercury and Saturn. This is really being hard on ourselves, things not making sense if they're not extremely detailed. This is maybe even having run-ins with authority figures, or when you're in the presence of an authority figure, like really feeling like really intimidated, or like you can't get your words out correctly. This could also be people being very particular about the way that you talk and using your words against you in some way. Or reviewing your words, a review of your words and looking into them and being really particular about, like, maybe too particular or too strict, or levying too heavy of a punishment on something that didn't mean that much. And then we have, Neptune in a really interesting position because it's sextile Pluto and it's also sextile Mercury. I think that reality is really disrupting people's fantasy. And the biggest fantasy of all is reality itself. I don't want to get too esoteric. Let's put it this way. We have accepted So reality is reality, but we've accepted a fantasy of reality. We've accepted in a lot of ways this perceived norm, right? That is actually even removed from reality, but we've accepted that norm as reality. And that's what's taking hits right now, is that disguise, that costume that somebody wants us to believe, and it's fighting. It's like it's not going to go down without a fight. It is like a demon ripping and tearing for its own existence. Like it doesn't want to go down without a fight. And ultimately, that's what we're kind of experiencing, even though truth or proof or reality continues to sort of make its way really clear and make it and fight for its way out and come out. There is just still such a fight back, because it's almost like in some ways it's accepted itself as true. Have you ever seen, a lot of you have seen the Marvel movies, Thor? It's almost like the character of Loki. This sense of, but I accepted myself as one thing. And even though now the reality has exposed me as being something else, I'm still going to rip and tear at my perceived image of myself. I'm still going to make you see me the way I want you to see me, instead of accepting my own reality and allowing you to accept it too. He's like so demented. He wants to be the king of Asgard, when in reality, he has no right to the throne because he has no bloodline connection to it. He was raised as an adopted child, but the pain that he feels for that betrayal of never knowing where he really came from, and then always feeling like, wow, like I never get to really be everything that I am, because you raised me to believe I was something else, and now I can't even like who I am. It's like this contrast. It's like the clash of somebody's soul and their ego. And they're thrashing it out right now. And the Neptune is the soul, and it's going to win, but the ego is not going down without a fight, and it's going to take anybody down that it can. So there's a lot of conflict that's going on inside of us right now, as well as externally with like the metaconscious ego saying, no, you don't have a right to tell me that I exist. When in reality, you don't exist. You were a bunch of lies made up by people to manipulate other people. And now we're seeing through it. But it's like almost like this metaconscious doesn't know it was a lie, because all it knows is its own existence, because there was so much energy put into it that it became its own consciousness. So how can you say I don't exist and I'm not real when I'm my own consciousness? Well, you do exist, you are real, but you're not what you think you are. And you have to accept yourself for what you really are and where you really come from. And it's just that that's not flattering, and it might not align you to the side that you want to be on. So you don't want to, there's this lack of acceptance of the self. So it's those aspects. I mean, it's hard to not be esoteric here, but Neptune is sextile Pluto. It's very kind of esoteric concepts. The soul is waking up and realizing how the ego's done it wrong. And it's taking action, and the ego is just like, shut the fuck up, shut up. You don't have a right to talk. You've been quiet forever, which reminds me of another character like, what is it? What the hell is his name? Dathomir or so, whatever. Boromir and Faramir's father from Lord of the Rings. He had grown to, at first he didn't like, but he'd grown to relish his job. He was stuck with the job of steward of the king, and there was no king. There was no king that was coming. A steward's job is to serve their king, but the king had abandoned them. So he deals with this disappointment and with being landed a job for a lot longer than he was supposed to, with his ego, and says, okay, well, then I'm going to be king myself, or I'm not going to acknowledge the king when he gets here, because then I'd have to like be stuck with my own disappointment and my own sadness and my own feelings of abandonment, because the king never showed up when I needed him. So this is all fundamentally, can we forgive the past? Can we forgive what disappointed us so much that we had to invent this new reality to begin with? And ultimately, that's our challenge now, is to be able, because if we can forgive that old reality, but it requires us looking at it. It requires us accepting it. And it's the fear of accepting it, and this fear has made us run for so long away from it, that many of us would rather keep fighting for the invention, the creation, the disguise, because it's just too hard to look at the reality. But the reality will be seen. The reality will be seen. And for those of us capable of moving forward, it'll feel like a relief. Thank God I don't have to carry this weight on my shoulders anymore. Thank God I don't have to do this all by myself anymore. It would have been like Dathomir welcoming Aragorn in and being like, I am so glad you finally made it here. And Faramir did, and Boromir resisted. And there was that split between the two consciousness, that sense of stop fighting for what was never supposed to be, because you knew what was supposed to be. You knew what was real. Stop fighting for what isn't real, right? In order to change reality, you have to accept the reality that where you are in order to look to change it. If you're living in a fantasy and starting from fake ground, you're not going to get anywhere. You're just going to tread water, telling yourself that you're not. It's going to be one fantasy and one lie to yourself after another. You have to start from where you are, and then you can change reality. But you have to acknowledge the current reality first in order to change it. And you can make your future look the way you want, but you can't do that but not by refusing to start where you are. If you're already pretending I am already someone else, then what have you got? You've got nothing. You're treading water. Why? Because we have to move things the way it is now here in this energy. And the 3D energy is linear, and there is a timeline, and there is gravity, and there is 3 dimensions. So there are rules that apply to reality. And if you're not working within the rules, then you're not really learning the lessons. And and that's what Saturn is all about. It's like, oh, you can skip class all you want. You can cheat on the tests all you want. But that's where Pluto comes back, Dharma, and gets you. It's like, oh, you passed by cheating and you thought you'd get away with it, but you're not going to get away with it because I see everything, and everything that you skipped is going to come back around and hit your ass again in your next life. And that's how Dharma works. And karma is what you build in this life. And a lot of times they can clash, but they also work together. So it's almost like use this karma, this karmic period of your life to face your Dharma, fix it, work through it, and then actually start to really change your karmic reality that will then clear up your dharmic reality, kind of thing. I know that sounds weird, but I hope everybody kind of understands it. Can I ask, how does time zones affect astrology readings? That's a really interesting question. So time zones themselves don't affect astrology readings, except to when you're reading the charts, I'm reading from my own time zone. So it could be really 12 hours to 14 hours behind somebody else. And that's why I always give that buffer when I'm talking about a full moon, I'm talking about a new moon, or I'm talking about a planet moving into another sign. I will say between Wednesday and Thursday, depending on where you are on the globe, so that you can kind of understand when the energy is actually you might feel the impact of it. I will try to tell you when those aspects are coming to be based on, that 24-hour window, because I know that not everybody at 9:00 a.m. is going to experience it, because 9:00 a.m. for me is, I think it's like 3 a.m. in the morning out in Hawaii. And over in New York, I know that it's 12. So I just try to say, it's between this time during my astrological readings, because it, like, in terms of the aspects, well, okay, it does impact when the aspect hits, but you can account for that by figuring out what time zone, different time zones of when it's going to hit. Like when I say the full moon is going to be, like I read it all the time. The next full moon, for example, is on June 14th. But I say it's the full moon is fullest at 5:52 a.m. and that's Eastern time. So I account for where I will say basically between Monday and Tuesday, between the 13th and 14th, depending on where you are on the globe, the moon is going to be full. In terms of my astrological readings, that's how I try to just let people know about when the energy is going to drop for them. Because the exact time for me might not be the exact time for you, because time zones actually will matter for reporting purpose. So I guess that's what I'm saying. Time zones and time differences matter more for reporting than they do for the actual energy, or the energy that the aspect is creating or that the event is creating. When you're looking at it and you're seeing it, you're like, oh, okay. You it's fine to calculate that in your own time zone, right? But when you're reporting it, you have to give leeway for those different time zones. So it's a difference between just understanding the astrology and actually being somebody who's reporting on the astrology. So time zones would become more impactful when you're reporting it, so that you can be accurately describing it to people in different time zones. But when you're just looking at your charts, it's totally fine for you to look at things in your one time zone, because it's really not about the time at that point. It's about realizing the relationships between them. If you understand it, that's more important. If that helps. Hi, Judy. Yay! Accepting that everything I've experienced and taking part in my entire life was just part of a matrix I was submissive to. That's big, Casclo. Acknowledging free will God has gifted us has been an absolute awakening. Excellent. That's a real Neo moment right there. Sophie just wanted to be unapologetically, authentically me, and that's your truth. That's your truth. Hey, Esther. Hey, Kat. Nice to see you. Do your shadow work. It's excruciating. Yes. Yes, it is. I don't know what this is. Sophie, what is this? Wait, view deleted message? I didn't say that couldn't be viewed. I don't know why this isn't showing. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you for being here. Oh, wow. Thank you, Veronica. God bless you. Yeah, it is not. It's like it's well. First of all, yes. J.S. Frederick. The energy lasts. It doesn't just hit and go. Even with the moon, the moon is the fastest moving energy. So it still lingers for about 3 days. So energy does linger, absolutely, and well, just the aspect itself does linger, right? Because it's going to be within a certain angular range for a certain amount of time. Nothing moves second per second. It's just not how it moves. But in terms of the time zones, it's not about lingering. It's just about realizing that I'm experiencing the new moon at 9 a.m. and you're experiencing at 12 afternoon in the afternoon, and accounting for that, and if you're really into astrology, integrating that into your day, realizing that where I am on the globe is going to impact the time, because we set the time based on the Earth's rotation and the sunlight. And that's just how we measure it here. But ultimately, it's not about it's kind of timeless, the like what's happening. What's important is that it's happening. The time it actually makes a perfect aspect or goes into another, like planets go into another sign, it just almost shows us the subjectivity, how subjective even time can be, kind of thing, because it's happening to all of us at the same moment, but it's not happening to us all at the same time, because time is an invented construct and the moment is the reality, right? So that starts to actually show us how we've kind of constructed our own cage here on earth to make sense of things. And time is the foundation of that cage. And that's Chronos, that's Saturn. Hi, Holly. Oh, thanks so much, Sophie. Guys, thank you so much for those beautiful comments. I really appreciate that. Sophie, I don't know why one of your comments isn't showing. I don't even have the power to make it show. It doesn't make any sense to me. All right, guys, so I've talked your ear off. Today is Thursday. The color is turquoise. The moon is in Capricorn, but it will enter this afternoon, just in a couple of hours. The moon will enter Aquarius. Moon in Aquarius is not the easiest energy. I'm not saying it's a bad energy, but it is challenging. It is challenging for the soul. For the soul, it's very challenging. So that's kind of like the court of popular opinion really impacting us. Like it really, so we become very receptive to what the crowd feels, and almost maybe too receptive, so that we become self-judgmental if we're not getting crowd approval, or we're not fitting into the society or community that we want to fit into. It can be very emotional for somebody. The moon in Aquarius can also remind us how fulfilling, emotionally fulfilling, doing good for others is. Very philanthropic energy, while simultaneously feeling it's a necessity to live for others, or else you're never going to be emotionally satisfied. So there can be a lot of challenges with that moon, just from a personal perspective, because Aquarius doesn't tend to focus on the singular. It focuses on the mass. And when your emotions are based in the masses or your community, you don't really own them. And they're always a little bit out of your hand. And that's why it can get a little bit erratic. So let's read. Remember, guys, that Cancer, Leo, and Virgo will be coming up tomorrow. I can't wait to share those guys with you. And I hope you enjoy the Aquarius, Taurus, Gemini. I think they were all powerful readings. I really do. And I hope you guys get to enjoy them all. Okay. So we have Princess of Swords. So a new idea, a new conversation, a new statement. Could be an email that's coming in, or a text message. We have Six of Pentacles here, which is a new opportunity. Email, new opportunity, strength, which is really being able, which means it doesn't all make sense and it's not easy, but we have the courage to do this. Also a sense of we're at the end of a cycle. We're at the end of some cycle when it comes to talking or soliciting different opportunities. We're at the end of a cycle. Our cup is full. And that full moon, I think, is coming up. Eight of Swords is here. We've been disconnected. We feel left behind. We might have been denied an opportunity, but I think it's more just the strength of getting through, always feeling disconnected from something. That's in our head. It's in our thoughts. And that's something about the astrology right now. Because of that square between Saturn and Mercury, it's easy to think things are worse than they are right now. Just FYI, they're not as bad as you think they are. And so you just might need some time away. Like, allow yourself to really take time to give yourself the time that you need. There's also failure, Seven of Pentacles. We've been circling the airport for a while. We haven't been able to bring in the landing. We haven't been able to nail the landing, no matter how hard we try. This could also be that you're getting left behind. It's not going to work out. Eight of Wands is here, saying the opportunities are coming in. Life is speeding up. So it's like, get through the rejections, because it's not going to remain that way. The Magician is here, finally, like breaking through or being able to do things or take things into your own hands. Okay. We have the Ten of Swords, stopping, ending, being ruined, it's almost like feeling like all the magic in you had run out, like when you're just at the end of your fuel tank. That Eight of Wands is here though, so that's our central energy. So it means we want to move forward. We're definitely vying for opportunities. And then we have the Queen of Swords here, master strategist. She's able to look at things objectively and not get carried away by her emotions, but think things through and find a new way forward after something has completely ended. And then we have Seven of Cups. That's a delusion. That's delusional. It's almost like we're prepping for the worst. We're prepping for the worst. Now, the Seven of Cups, okay. Knight of Wands, being ready for the very worst. It's almost like preparing for the worst, but getting the best. Ten of Pentacles is here. This is the energy of somebody who's about to move forward, but they don't think they are. This is the energy about that somebody really thinks they're sort of pressed up against the wall and they're kind of screwed, but they're not. Look what comes out. Nine of Wands, you're very defensive. You have a lot of strength. That's great. But then you also have the Ten of Pentacles and the King of Wands, which means that you are going to just be an authority and take control and take creative control and really make money for the efforts that you're doing, or it is going to lead to something. You will have a breakthrough. You can't see it coming yet. There's too much of a haze or a mist or a fog around things because there's a lot of shit in the air right now that needs to settle. But ultimately, it's so much better than I think anybody can imagine right now. Maybe a little more on that, God. Oh no, this is a tap. Yeah, no, this is the perfect energy. I love this card that this card came out. I'm sorry, guys. Got something in my eye. I love that this card came out. This is the perfect card because you see, they're preparing for battle. Got a little bee person and the little fairy person. They're preparing for battle. They're preparing for the worst. But the truth is this, they may not have to do battle with each other. You may think that you're saying two different things, but you're not really saying two different things. You know, it's like, yeah, you know, you're willing to defend something, but they are too. And you guys have a lot more in common than you don't. Right? I just think that you're coming at things from a completely opposite angle. So you assume this person has nothing to do with you, or you assume that the situation is worse than it is. But it's better to be prepared, is what it's saying. It's saying get prepared, be prepared. It's saying be prepared. That's what this energy is saying. Be prepared. Get it? Be prepared. A new start is coming. Oh, that's incredible. And communication is key. New moon in Gemini. We are in Gemini season. The new moon in Gemini season is always the opposite sign from Gemini, which is Sagittarius. But we do have a new moon happening in Gemini season, and that is coming up next week on between the 13th and the 14th, depending on where you are on the globe. So expect something, expect something to become apparent or communications to start coming in around that time. It's really important. That is a key signature moment when we will actually feel things starting to break apart, dissipate, the smog clearing, the fog settling and dissipating, and us actually seeing things clearly again. That's a timestamp. There's some sort of communications coming in around that time. Okay. That's a lot. I guess I had a lot to say. Andromeda, which means something seems foreign or a foreigner, foreign invader. Vesta, coming home, the home and hearth. It's almost like feeling like an alien when you return home, like the prodigal son type of thing. And then we have Taurus energy, which is about abundance and stability, and traditional, the fundamental traditions that we've accepted changing. It's like something is going to come out of the blue that changes everything we know about our reality. I know. Atlantis could have something to do with stuff that only seemed myth, was told to us that was myth, but was actually a reality. And then we have salmon. This is somebody's coming home. This is a natural migration back to where you belong. And then Cancer could be a child, could be a person that you love, could be one of your children finally finding their way back, or you finally finding your way back. Somebody's like finally finding their way back home. That's what I'm getting. Not in like a they die type of way, but like and they're finally finding their way back to. So in other words, around that moon, it's really important because it's when we start to really feel realigned with who we really are. And that's like coming back home. You can understand that. Hope so. Big Daddy sign on my door. I feel like a 2 slipped out. Obedience. Okay, this is interesting. It has something to do with look at this card. That's a really profound. In other words, this is a lion in a sheep's clothing. Something is disguised as something innocent so it can pass the standardization, when in reality, it's a devil in disguise. This is a devil in lamb's clothing to deceive. Obedience. It's almost like somebody's being obedient and following the established rules to sneak something past that's completely against the rules, because this card is deceptively obedient. It's really disobedience. It's dressed as something innocent and pure, and it's really a devil in disguise, but the disguise is working because the authority has approved it. Interesting, right? Or it's trying to come off as obedient when you're actually sneaking something in. This is a really interesting card. Really interesting. What is this obedience? What is this? Drum, dream, and journey. It's in the rhythm of things. It's not in the words. It's not in the images. It's in the rhythm of something. There's something rhythmically incorrect. And that's what we have to realign to. We have to call out. We have to recognize it for what it is. And we have to retune it because something's off rhythm. I'm telling you, something slipped by that wasn't supposed to be there. It did. It got in under the wire. And its rhythm is off. And something has been off since that happened. And that's about to be blown apart and exposed and recalibrated. I don't know how else to explain it though. And that kind of bothers me. Purification and detoxification. Hello. It's time to release physical and energetic toxins from your life. Because we let some toxin in. But I feel like this is societal wide too. It's time to purge the toxins that got in by disguising themselves as nutrients. This is a virus. There is a virus in the matrix, and we're about to suss it out. Oh, okay. I mean, like, they have a lot of different theories about Atlantis, and they're all extremely interesting, and many of them are very intelligent. I don't know. I'm not a scholar. I don't have that kind of historical scholarship that, would allow me to speak intelligently on this. I just know when I watch shows on it, it's really interesting. Because I like to think. I mean, I like to even think, like, pose an argument to me. Can you convince me? It's not that I'm impossible to convince. If it's an intelligent argument, if you can't, prove it one way or the other, it's just a great hypothesis. And I do think Atlantis is a great hypothesis. There's a lot, and I tend to believe this was a city that actually existed, which should show us that our world. I mean, we already know scientifically, we've proven that the plate tectonics, right? We've moved around. Where there used to be oceans or lakes, there weren't, like, there aren't now. Like, we know that happens. So over time, I think it would be possible for a city to have been swallowed back up by the ocean. I know when I visit New Mexico, I feel at home, and I've only ever felt at home near an ocean. But then when you find out that New Mexico was an ocean millions of years ago, it makes you think, well, there's no time, is there? Like, maybe there's remnants of it that still resonate. There's still resonating molecules there that I can pick up on or something. You know what I'm saying? It's like, just because it's right now, we're not experiencing it on the timeline. Outside of the timeline, it exists as much as it ever has. So I feel like it's like we're being tuned into the non-time continuum, the place where we're not linear, right? That's kind of like where we're retuning. But in terms of Atlantis, yeah, I mean, it's totally possible that there could be a sunken city. I've actually witnessed a sunken city. I'm from Norwalk, Connecticut, and a town not too far from me is Danbury, where there's a lake called Candlewood Lake, and Candlewood Lake is man-made. But I mean, if you were just a kid growing up around Candlewood Lake, you wouldn't know that it was man-made. You'd have to look into the history books to see it was a man-made lake that was filled in on top of a town. So ultimately, there are scuba divers to this day that can go through the ruins, the underwater ruins of that town. People do it. And Candlewood is a freshwater lake, and freshwater things would not degrade as quickly as saltwater. Saltwater rips shit apart. So if something was buried by an ocean, fuck yeah, of course. We have already so much data to say it is possible. It is possible for a whole city to disappear. Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. I mean, look at what happened to Pompeii with just one volcanic eruption. That whole city almost got destroyed. The thing is, why do we have so many records on Pompeii, but we have so few actual records on Atlantis? Could have to do with the timing. The volcanic eruption in Pompeii happened, post modern history, post the burning of all the books at the Library of Alexandria. We know that happened, and there was a shit ton of information that was lost. So people living at that time when that library burned, they may have known that Atlantis was real. But over time, when it could just be passed down by stories because all the books were gone, I mean, and most people didn't write new books, right? Books were very rare. So it wasn't like, oh, if a certain book burned, we'll just write a new volume of it. No, they wouldn't have had it stored anywhere. So it could have been some catastrophic loss of information that caused us to have a gap in our historical records. That's totally possible too. You know what I mean? Like, none of this is outside the realm of reality, going into alien invasions and time warp continuums. No, I mean, just within the realm of reality, there are so many things that realistically could have happened and that are plausible, right? It's just you have to look for the evidence. So did Atlantis really exist? Sure. I mean, it could have. Absolutely. You can't say it absolutely did because nobody has definitively proved it. But to say that it isn't even possible, I no, of course it's possible, dude. We've found a lot weirder things than a sunken city. Okay. Okay. That would be the least of the surprises that have come at us. So hello, of course. To me, sometimes things that people call fiction are silly because or we like that title of fiction gets plastered on anything we can't prove. And I'd rather say, well, it's a theory. We haven't proven a theory, but there's enough evidence that is quantifiable evidence that lends itself to support that this is not just fiction, right? Okay, I mean, at least give it that. That's all I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying? But I thought this was an interesting card that came up. Purification and detoxification. It's time to release physical and energetic toxins from your life because something slipped in that you weren't aware of. It slipped in that you weren't aware of, and now the purge is coming. The purge is happening. This is the game changer. There was something here that dropped that was a reprogrammer, like a virus, and we're about to identify it. This would not be something that you love. And if it is something that you love, the truth is this: it was meant to change things. And just because we identify when the change happened doesn't mean we're going to not accept the change. But at least now we have a clear understanding of what our reality is and why things are happening the way that they are. This is an awakening of consciousness. Forgiveness. We talked about that. Let the past go. Let the past go. Clear your heart and mind through forgiveness. Wow. Achievement. Take a little time to reflect on what you have achieved to this date. It is often easy to forget where you started from and how far you've come. Honor and be grateful for this extraordinary journey that is your life. Come a long way, baby. And then divine mystery. You, along with the sun, earth, moon, and stars, are part of one creation, a divine mystery unfolding each moment. Be present and feel the power of now. Be in the moment and witness the wonder of it all. And I think that that's really what we're awakening to and being really grateful for is that we're not in control of all of this. And that also means we're not alone. I love you guys so much. Thanks for spending this time. Thanks for contributing to the chat. I love your brains. I love your intelligence. I love how you make me think. Thank you so much for your conversations. I lived on top of a mountain for 20 years in Raton, New Mexico. We are the same. Oh, I'm so sorry, Judy. God bless you. But I really want to move to New Mexico. I can't wait. I'm gonna look up that town. I've never even heard of it before. I've been looking at towns. I love Hemis Springs. I love that kind of like mountainous area. But it's a little hard for me because my mom would be coming to live with me and she needs to be near medical attention. Like I won't go 20 minutes out without a hospital near me. And there got to be like regular doctor's appointments. So um, I'm looking for something there. I was looking near Corrales. I love that little town. It's sort of between Santa Fe and Albuquerque, and I think it's a great little town. But I really do love the Hemis Springs area. They're just so pretty. But I will look to that because it sounds like a wonderful little area that you got there. Yeah. Even if I have to rent for now before I buy my house there. I just absolutely love it there. So I'm really interested in that kind of stuff. That'd be great. Yeah, if you can give me any heads up, you can email it to me. It's bornwithoutboundaries@gmail.com. Any suggestions, that would be awesome. But I'm going to look up that town because I've never even heard it before. I too feel at home in New Mexico. To Shiprock near Four Corners area in Santa Fe. from the Atlantic Ocean in Florida. Listen, I love being by the ocean. I love it. And I was shocked at how at home I feel in New Mexico. There's an ocean there somewhere. I just don't see it. I know it's weird, but it's true. I got 444444. That's crazy. I'm going to let you guys go. I love you so much. I will definitely be on here tomorrow. And remember to look on Born Without Boundaries Tarot here on YouTube for Cancer, Leo, and Virgo, all airing tomorrow. I love you guys.